Hey everyone, welcome to Midnight Mystic Stories. I noticed a lot of you who are watching and enjoying the content aren't subscribed yet. If you love spine-chilling stories, creepy encounters, and unexplained mysteries, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. It really helps the channel grow and helps us keep bringing more of the content you love. And be sure to comment below where you are tuning in from. Thank you and enjoy the video. It started like any other dumb thing I've done. Swipe right on a girl named Leah. Her profile wasn't flashy. No mirror selfies in the bathroom or group shots where you can't tell who's who. Just her, smiling on a pier somewhere, wind in her hair, holding a fishing rod like she actually knew how to use it. She had this look, not model perfect, but real. Like she'd laugh at your dumb joke, but also call you out if you were being an idiot. Bio said she liked old horror movies, thrift store flannels, and making pasta from scratch. I messaged her something stupid like, "So, are you going to eat the fish or just smile at it?" And she wrote back, "Only if it apologizes first." We matched. We talked. A week later, we made plans. She picked a place, a little Italian spot tucked between a laundromat and a closed-down video game arcade in the older part of town. Not romantic, not trendy, just normal. I like that. Showed up early, nervous, wearing my least wrinkled button-down and trying not to check my phone every 10 seconds. She walked in 10 minutes late, but it was fine. She had this black beanie pulled low, wore a green jacket that looked like it had survived a few winters, and carried a small canvas bag like she was going to art class or something. She smiled when she saw me, not the fake nice-to-meet-you smile, but the kind that actually reaches the eyes. We ordered wine, talked about dumb stuff, favorite pizza toppings, worst jobs we've ever had, whether pineapple belongs on pizza. She said yes. I almost left right then. 2 hours flew by. We laughed. She told me about how she used to live in a converted school bus in Montana for 6 months. I told her about the time I accidentally glued my hand to a bike seat. It felt easy. Real. After dinner, she suggested we walk. Said she didn't feel like going home yet. The night was cool, the kind where your breath fogs, but you don't need a coat. We wandered through the side streets, past flickering streetlights and houses with dim porches. She pointed out a tree with a tire swing. Said she used to live 3 blocks over when she was a kid. Said she'd come out here at night, sometimes just to sit on that swing and look at the stars. I believed her. She had this way of talking about things like they mattered, even the small stuff. Then she turned down a path I didn't recognize. It led behind a row of old warehouses, the kind that used to be factories or storage units. The streetlights stopped. The air got colder. I hesitated, but she just kept walking, humming some tune under her breath. I followed, telling myself it was fine. She knew the area. Maybe she had a shortcut or something. We ended up at a chain-link fence with a hole cut near the bottom. She crouched, looked at me, said, "Come on, it's not far." Her voice didn't change. Still calm. Still like the girl from dinner. But something in my chest tightened. Still, I crawled through. On the other side was an empty lot, overgrown with weeds, a few rusted barrels, and what looked like the remains of a small fire pit. But in the middle stood a trailer. Not a camper, not a mobile home. This thing looked like it had been abandoned for years. Windows boarded, door hanging crooked, paint peeled down to the metal. She walked straight toward it like it was home. I stopped. "Leah, what are we doing here?" She turned, smiled again. "You'll see." I should have turned around. Should have run back through that hole in the fence and not looked back. But I didn't. I followed her up the 3 creaky steps and into the trailer. Inside wasn't what I expected. It wasn't dirty or trashed. It was clean. Too clean. The floor was swept, the walls painted a dull gray. And there was furniture, a couch, a coffee table, a small kitchenette. A single lamp glowed in the corner. It felt staged, like a set. She dropped her bag on the couch, took off her jacket, and walked to the fridge. "Want a drink?" I didn't answer. My eyes caught something on the wall behind the couch. Photos, dozens of them, all Polaroids, taped up in a messy grid. And every single one was of a guy. Different ages, different clothes, but all of them smiling, all of them in public places, restaurants, parks, sidewalks. And then I saw one. Me. From earlier that night. Outside the restaurant. Laughing at something she said. Taken without me knowing. My throat went dry. I looked at her. She was still at the fridge, humming that same tune. I backed toward the door. My hand found the knob. It didn't turn. Locked. She turned, holding 2 cans of soda. "You're not leaving yet, are you?" I said nothing, just stared at the photos. Then I noticed the dates written in pencil under each one, all of them from the last 5 years. And every date stopped exactly 1 week after the photo was taken. She took a step toward me. I like it when they figure it out. Makes it more fun. I slammed my shoulder into the door. Nothing. Tried the window. Boarded shut. She set the sodas down, reached behind the couch, and pulled out a long, curved knife. Not a kitchen knife. Something older. Rust along the edge, handle wrapped in frayed tape. "You're probably wondering why," she said, running her thumb along the blade. "It's not personal. I just need it. Every 7 days. Fresh blood. Keeps me going. Keeps me looking like this." She touched her face. I haven't aged in over 30 years. I didn't believe her. Not really. But the knife was real. The photos were real. The locked door was real. She moved fast. I dodged, knocked over the coffee table, glass shattered. I grabbed a broken leg, swung it like a bat. She blocked with her arm, didn't even flinch. The wood snapped. I ran for the back of the trailer, kicked at a boarded window. Once. Twice. On the 3rd hit, the wood cracked. I punched through, felt glass slice my knuckles, pulled myself halfway out. Then I felt her hand in my hair, yanking me back. I kicked, twisted, felt my foot connect with something. She grunted, "Let go." I rolled, scrambled to my feet, and bolted for the front door. It was still locked, but I remembered the hole in the fence. I didn't care about the glass in my hands, the blood dripping down my arms. I ran through the trailer door, down the steps, across the lot, ducked through the hole. I didn't stop running until I hit the main road. Flagged down a cab. Told the driver to go anywhere, just drive. Didn't go home. Didn't call anyone. Checked into a motel under a fake name. Washed the blood off, wrapped my hands in towels, and sat on the bed with the lights on. Next morning, I called the police. Gave them the address, the trailer, the photos. They sent a unit. Came back and said there was no trailer. No fence with a hole. Just an empty lot with weeds and a few old tires. No sign of forced entry. No records of Aaliyah matching her description. No missing persons reports that fit. I showed them the messages. The app. My phone was wiped. All the chats gone. Even her profile vanished. Like she was never there. I moved apartments. Changed my number. Deleted all my dating apps. Still, sometimes I see her. Out of the corner of my eye. At a bus stop. In a grocery store. Always wearing that green jacket. Always smiling. Last week, I found a Polaroid on my windshield. Me, asleep on the couch in my new place. Taken recently. On the back, in pencil, it said 7 days. I keep the lights on now. All of them. And I count the hours. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy who'd swipe right on someone just because they had a dog in their profile. But there she was, Lena, sitting on a park bench, laughing at something her golden retriever was doing in the grass. Her hair caught the sunlight in a way that made it look like it was glowing, and she had this crooked smile that made my stomach do something weird. I swiped. She swiped back. 2 days later, we were texting about music movies and how neither of us could cook to save our lives. It felt easy. Real. Like maybe, just maybe, this could actually go somewhere. Our first date was supposed to be coffee at this little place downtown with exposed brick and overpriced oat milk lattes. But the morning of, she texted saying she had to cancel. Her dog, Scout, wasn't feeling well. I said it was no big deal, told her to take care of him, and meant it. But then she followed up with, "Want to come over instead? We can just chill. I'll make tea." I don't know why that felt more intimate than meeting in public, but it did. And I said yes before my brain had time to catch up. She lived in one of those old converted warehouses near the river. The kind with tall ceilings, metal beams, and floor-to-ceiling windows that made you feel like you were floating above the city. Her place was on the 7th floor. No elevator, just narrow stairs that creaked under my shoes. I knocked, and she opened the door barefoot, wearing sweatpants and a hoodie 2 sizes too big. Scott was lying on the couch, looking sleepy, but not sick. He lifted his head when I walked in, gave me a lazy tail wag, then went back to napping. The apartment was warm, smelled like cinnamon and wet dog. There were books stacked by the couch, a half-finished puzzle on the coffee table, and a record player spinning some mellow jazz I didn't recognize. She offered me tea, and I took it, sitting cross-legged on the floor while she curled up on the couch. We talked about nothing and everything, her job in graphic design, my dumb office gig, the weird dreams we'd had the night before. She said she dreamed about water. Me, I dreamed I was walking through an empty mall at 3 a.m., and every store was locked, but I could hear someone humming behind one of the doors. It started getting dark around 7. She turned on a couple of lamps, dimmed the lights. The city lights outside flickered to life, painting the room in soft orange and blue. At some point, she got up to refill her tea and left the kitchen light off. I watched her move through the dim room, like she could see perfectly. Scout didn't stir. Then she came back with 2 mugs, handed me one, and sat closer than before. Our knees touched. I didn't move mine away. She smiled, sipped her tea, and said, "You're not like the other guys I meet." I laughed. What? Because I didn't show up with flowers and a pickup line? She didn't laugh, just stared at me with this look I couldn't read. No, because you're still here. I didn't know what that meant, but something in her voice made the air feel heavier. I took a sip of tea. It was too sweet, like she'd dumped in 3 or 4 sugars. My tongue felt sticky. I set the mug down and rubbed my palms on my jeans. She started talking again, but her voice sounded distant, like it was coming from the other end of a tunnel. The room tilted slightly. I blinked hard, tried to focus on her face, but her features kept blurring at the edges. The jazz record kept playing, but the notes were dragging, slow and warped. I tried to stand up, but my legs wouldn't listen. My arms felt like they were filled with sand. The last thing I remember is her leaning forward, brushing a strand of hair from my forehead, whispering, "You'll be okay. You're safe now." I woke up in a bed I didn't recognize. The sheets were cold, the room pitch black. No windows, no doors that I could see. Just 4 plain walls and a single bulb hanging from the ceiling, flickering like a dying heartbeat. My head pounded. My mouth was dry. I tried to sit up, but my limbs were weak, like I'd been asleep for days. Then I heard it, a soft clicking sound, like claws on concrete. Scout stepped into the light, his golden fur matted and dull. He didn't bark, just stared at me with eyes that looked too dark, too deep. He tilted his head, then turned and walked toward the wall. I crawled after him, dragging myself across the floor. When I reached the wall, I expected it to be solid, but my hand sank into it like wet clay. I pulled back, heart slamming. The wall rippled, like water disturbed by a stone. Scout stepped through it like it wasn't even there. I don't know how long I sat there, staring at that impossible wall. Hours, days. Time didn't feel real. My stomach didn't growl. I didn't need to pee. I just existed, trapped in this loop of fear and confusion. Eventually, I got up and walked through the wall. On the other side was a hallway, long, narrow, lined with doors, all closed. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and something metallic, like old pennies. Scout was gone. I picked a door at random and opened it. Inside was a living room. My living room. Same couch, same TV, same coffee table with the chip on the corner from when I dropped a dumbbell last year. But everything was covered in a fine layer of dust, like no one had been there in months. I walked to the mirror above the fireplace. My reflection was pale, hollow-eyed, with dark circles that looked painted on. I looked like I hadn't slept in weeks. I turned around. The door was gone. Just a blank wall. I tried another door. This one led to a version of Lena's apartment, but everything was reversed. The couch on the opposite side, the record player spinning backward, the jazz playing in reverse. Scout was on the couch again, but this time he was growling, his teeth bared, eyes black as oil. I backed out and slammed the door. I kept opening doors. One showed me my childhood bedroom. Another showed a hospital room with a body under a sheet. One was just a mirror room, endless reflections of me, all looking more terrified than the last. None of them had exits. None of them made sense. Then I found the door with the dog tag hanging from the knob. Scout's tag. I opened it. It was a basement. Concrete floor, low ceiling, a single bare bulb. In the center of the room was a metal chair. Tied to it was a guy who looked exactly like me. Same haircut, same jacket, same stupid watch I never take off. He was awake, eyes wide, mouth gagged. Behind him stood Lena, but not the Lena I knew. Her hair was longer, tangled. Her eyes were glassy, unfocused. She held a syringe in one hand, Scout sitting at her feet like a statue. She looked at me and smiled. "You're early." I tried to speak, but my voice wouldn't work. She walked over, cut my face like we were close. "You're the fourth. The others didn't last. But you're stronger. I can tell." I backed away. She didn't follow. Just watched me with that empty smile. I turned and ran down the hallway, opening door after door, but they all led to more versions of my life, twisted and wrong. A version where I never left my hometown. One where I died in a car crash last year. One where I'm sitting on a couch, drinking tea, laughing at something Lena said, completely unaware. I don't know how I got back to the first room, the bed, the flickering bulb, but I was there, lying down. Scout curled up at the foot of the bed, watching me. The door opened. Lena walked in with 2 mugs. "You're awake," she said, smiling. I was starting to worry. I didn't move, didn't speak. She set the tea down, sat beside me, brushed my hair like before. "You're safe now," she whispered. "You're home." I looked at the mug. Steam rising. Smell of cinnamon. Too sweet. I don't know how many times this has happened, or how many versions of me are still out there, trapped in other rooms. All I know is the tea is getting harder to refuse, and every time I drink it, the world feels a little more like hers. It was a Tuesday. I remember that because I had to leave work early, and my boss gave me that look like I was ditching for no good reason. But I wasn't. I was nervous. Not in a bad way. Just the usual butterflies, you know? The kind that make you check your hair 10 times before walking out the door. Adam lived in this older apartment complex on the edge of town, the kind with peeling paint and parking spaces that weren't assigned, so you always had to circle twice. I found a spot near the back, next to a dumpster that smelled like old pizza and wet cardboard. His unit was on the 2nd floor, number 214. I texted him I was outside. He said, "Come on up. The door's unlocked." That should have been the first red flag. Doors unlocked? In this place? But I didn't think about it. I was too busy trying to smooth my shirt and reminding myself not to talk too fast. I walked up the creaky stairs, the railing wobbling under my hand. The hallway smelled like mildew and someone's dinner, onions, maybe, or burnt garlic. His door was slightly ajar, just a crack, like he'd left it open for me. I pushed it open and stepped inside. The apartment was dark. Not, I forgot to pay the electric bill dark, but more like the lights were off and the blinds were closed. All of them. Every window covered. The only light came from the hallway behind me, spilling a thin rectangle across the floor. I called out his name. No answer. I stepped further in, kicking off my shoes like it was normal, like I'd been there before. The place was quiet. Too quiet. No TV, no music, not even a fridge humming. Just silence. Then I heard it. A soft thump from the back room, like something heavy being moved. I called his name again, louder this time. Still nothing. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. A text from Adam. "Be right there, just finishing up in the bathroom." Okay, fine. I sat on the couch. It was stiff, covered in a plastic sheet, like people do with new furniture. The coffee table had a single photo frame, face down. I picked it up. It was a picture of a woman, mid-30s, dark hair, smiling in front of a lake. I didn't recognize her. I flipped it back over and set it down. That's when I noticed the smells. Not just the mildew. Something else. Sweet but wrong. like syrup left out too long. And underneath it, something sour, like meat forgotten in the back of the fridge. I stood up, walking toward the hallway. The bathroom door was closed. Light under the door. I knocked. Adam. No answer. I knocked again. Still nothing. I turned the knob. Locked. I stepped back. My heart was going faster now, not because I thought anything was wrong, but because the whole thing felt off. The locked door, the dark apartment, the weird smells. I pulled out my phone to text him, but the screen flickered. No service. That was strange. We had service everywhere in the city. I moved toward the window, pulling the curtain back, just a crack. The glass was painted over on the outside, not painted like a design, but completely covered in thick black paint. I let the curtain fall back. That's when I heard the click. From behind me. I turned. The front door had shut, not slammed, just closed, like someone had pushed it. But I was alone. I walked to the door, turned the knob. Locked. Not just locked. Chained. I hadn't noticed the chain before. I pulled out my phone again. Still no signal. I tried calling 911 anyway. Nothing. Just silence. I went back to the bathroom door. Adam, if this is a joke, it's not funny. I pressed my ear to the door. Nothing. No water running. No movement. Just silence. I grabbed a vase from the side table, plastic, light, and smashed it against the doorknob. It barely made a dent. I did it again. And again. On the fourth try, the knob twisted. The door opened. The bathroom was empty. No Adam. No shower curtain, no towels. Just a tub, a toilet, and a sink. The mirror was cracked, covered in what looked like dried toothpaste. But the tub was full. Not with water. With something thick and dark. I leaned in. It wasn't water. It wasn't oil. It was hair. Thousands of strands, clumped together, tangled, wet. And at the bottom, something pale. A bar of soap? No. A finger bone. Clean, white, small. Like from a woman's hand. I backed out fast, hitting the wall. My breath was short, panicked. I ran to the bedroom. Door closed. I pushed it open. The room was empty except for a mattress on the floor and a closet with the doors wide open. Inside, hanging on a rack, were clothes. Women's clothes. Dresses, blouses, jeans. All different sizes. All neatly arranged. On the floor, a row of shoes. Pairs. Matching. But none of them mine. That's when I saw the box. Under the bed. Cardboard, taped shut. I pulled it out. The tape was old, yellowed. I ripped it open. Inside were phones. At least 10 of them. All different models, all cracked or broken. And next to them, wallets. IDs. I picked one up. A girl, early 20s, name blacked out, but the photo was clear. She was smiling. Happy. I recognized her from a missing persons flyer I'd seen at the gas station last month. I dropped the wallet like it burned me. I ran back to the front door, yanking at the chain. It wouldn't budge. I looked around for something to break it, something to smash the window. But the windows were painted shut. I grabbed a chair and swung it at the glass. It bounced off like the paint was metal. I tried again. Same thing. The chair leg snapped. I was breathing hard now, sweat on my neck. I pulled out my phone one last time. Still no signal. But then light. A single bar. I dialed 911. It rang once, then cut out. The screen went black. I smacked it against my palm. Nothing. That's when I heard breathing. Not from the bathroom. From behind me. I turned slowly. Adam was standing in the bedroom doorway. But not the Adam from the photos. This one was different. Thinner. Pale. His eyes were sunken. His lips cracked. He wore the same shirt from his profile, the taco one. But it was stained, the buttons mismatched. He smiled. Not a friendly smile. A slow, stretched thing that didn't reach his eyes. You shouldn't have opened the bathroom, he said. His voice was dry, like he hadn't used it in weeks. I backed up until I hit the wall. He stepped forward. One slow step. Then another. I didn't mean to, I said. I thought you were in trouble. He tilted his head. You're not the first to say that. I don't understand, I said. What is this? He looked past me, toward the bathroom. She wasn't supposed to go in there either. Who? I asked. Who's she? He didn't answer. Just kept walking. I slid along the wall, toward the kitchen. My hand found a knife block. I grabbed the biggest one. Held it out. Stop, I said. I'll call the police. He laughed. Soft. Quiet. You already tried. They can't hear you in here. I don't want to hurt you, I said. You already did, he said. By coming. I don't even know you, I screamed. You will, he said. Just like the others. I swung the knife. Not at him. At the air. A warning. He didn't flinch. Just kept coming. I backed into the counter. My foot hit something. I looked down. A loose floorboard. I dropped to my knees, pried it up. Underneath was a hole. And inside more bones. Small. Delicate. A jaw. A rib cage. All clean. Arranged like they'd been collected. I looked up at him. His face didn't change. No guilt. No anger. Just emptiness. They all came here, he said. Just like you. Thought I was normal. Thought I was lonely. But I'm not. I'm full. I don't know how I got out. I don't remember breaking the window or running down the stairs. I don't remember driving home. All I know is I woke up in my bed, the knife still in my hand, my clothes covered in dust and something sticky. I called the police the next morning. They went to the apartment. Found nothing. No Adam. No bones. No hair in the tub. Just an empty unit, vacant for months. The landlord said no one had lived there since a woman disappeared 2 years ago. Her name was Sarah. Last seen on a date with someone she met online. I still have the knife. I keep it under my bed. I don't go on dates anymore. Don't answer my door. And every time my phone buzzes with a match, I delete the app. Because I know now, some people aren't lonely. They're waiting. And they don't want love. They want replacements. I never thought something as normal as online dating could turn my life into a slow spiral of dread. It started like any other stupid thing I've done since moving to this city, bored, lonely, scrolling through an app on a Tuesday night, half watching a cooking show about lasagna while my microwave burrito did its thing. That's when I saw him. Not in a photo, not at first. He messaged me out of nowhere. No cheesy pickup line. No, hey beautiful. Just a simple, you look like someone who actually listens. That was it. No follow-up. No emoji. Just that one sentence. And for some reason, it stuck. His name was Daniel. Profile was minimal, 2 pictures, both outdoors, him in a gray hoodie. Face slightly turned, like he didn't want to be fully seen. One was near a lake, the other on a trail surrounded by trees, so thick the sunlight barely made it through. Bio said he liked long walks, reading, and silence. That last one should have been a red flag, but at the time, it felt refreshing. Everyone else was trying too hard, gym selfies, quotes about adventure, bios that read like resumes. Daniel felt real. Mysterious, but real. We started texting. Not every day, not constantly, but enough to build something. He asked about my job, my favorite books, what I thought about dreams. Not the dream job crap, actual dreams, like the ones you have when you're asleep. He said he remembered every single one he'd ever had. Said they were more real than waking life sometimes. I laughed it off, but later that night, I dreamed about standing in a basement with no stairs, just a single light bulb swinging above me, and a voice whispering my name from the corner. I woke up sweating, heart slamming against my ribs. First time in years. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop downtown. Neutral ground, public, nothing sketchy. I showed up 10 minutes early, wearing jeans and a black sweater, my hair down because I thought he might like that. He was already there, sitting at a corner table, hands wrapped around a mug, staring out the window. When he turned, I almost didn't recognize him. His eyes were too still. Not cold, not mean, just empty, like he was looking through me instead of at me. But he smiled, and it reached his eyes just enough to make me stay. We talked for 2 hours. He didn't ask about my ex, didn't talk about himself too much. Instead, he asked questions like, do you ever feel like you've lived this moment before? And if you could erase one memory, would you? Stuff that made my brain itch. He said he used to study psychology, but dropped out because the professors didn't understand the subconscious. He said dreams were messages, not random noise. Said some people are more open to them, receptive. He looked at me when he said that, like he was seeing something behind my eyes. I left feeling weird, not bad, just off. Like I'd been hypnotized without realizing it. But I agreed to a second date. He suggested dinner at his place. Homemade pasta. I hesitated, but he seemed so calm, so normal. Plus, he sent a photo of his kitchen, clean, modern, a big window over the sink. Nothing suspicious. When I got there, the building was older, brick, tucked between a laundromat and a closed-down bookstore. His apartment was on the 3rd floor. No elevator. The hallway smelled like old wood and something faintly sweet, like apples left too long in a drawer. He opened the door before I could knock. Wore the same gray hoodie. Smiled like he'd been waiting. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. No TV, no music, just the hum of the fridge. The lights were low, warm, like candlelight, but not quite. He led me to the dining area. Small table, 2 chairs, a single candle in the center. He said he liked to cook in silence. Said it helped him focus. I watched him move around the kitchen, precise. No wasted motion. He didn't turn on the overhead light. Just the stove flame and the dim lamp in the corner. Dinner was good. Really good. Garlic, butter, fresh herbs. But halfway through, I noticed something. The walls. They weren't painted. They were covered in paper. Not wallpaper, actual sheets, taped up, covered in writing. Tiny handwriting, every inch filled. I leaned slightly, trying to read it without being obvious. Dates, times, descriptions of dreams. My name was there. Not once. Multiple times. With underlines. Arrows pointing to other names. Women I didn't know. Next to each name, a date. All within the last 2 years. My stomach dropped. I looked at Daniel. He was watching me. Chewing slowly, eyes steady. No reaction. Like he wanted me to see it. I made an excuse about needing the bathroom. He pointed down the hall. Last door on the left. The bathroom was normal. Sink, toilet, mirror. But the mirror, when I looked into it, my reflection didn't move right. Just a half-second delay, like it was catching up. I blinked, rubbed my eyes. It was fine. But when I turned to leave, I saw something on the back of the door. A list. My name at the top. Then a series of dates. The first one was the night I first messaged him. The last one was tonight. I walked back to the table. Daniel was cleaning his plate, stacking it neatly on the counter. He didn't sit back down. Just stood there, facing the window. "You read it," he said, not turning around. Not a question. I said I had to go. My voice sounded weak, higher than usual. He nodded, still not looking at me. "You're the most receptive one so far," he said. "The dreams are stronger with you. Clearer." He finally turned. His face was calm. "I don't hurt them. I just need to remember. And to remember, I have to be inside the dream. You have to be asleep." I backed toward the door. He didn't move. "You've been in my dreams," he said. "Every night since we started talking. You just don't remember. But I do. And soon you will too." I ran. Down the stairs, out the front door, across the street. I didn't stop until I was 3 blocks away, leaning against a bus stop, gasping for air. My phone buzzed. A message from Daniel. Just a photo. My bedroom. Taken from the corner near the ceiling. The time stamp was from 2 nights ago. The same night I dreamed about the basement. I changed my number. Deleted the app. Moved apartments. Told no one, not even my sister. But it didn't matter. The dreams came back. Stronger. More detailed. Always the basement. Always the voice. Only now I could see him. Standing in the corner, hood up, watching. And every time I wake up, my room feels different. Smaller. The air heavier. Like someone's been breathing in it while I slept. Last night, I found a sticky note on my fridge. My handwriting. But I don't remember writing it. It said, "Asterisk, you're almost ready. One more dream and you'll understand. Asterisk." I haven't slept since. I'm writing this at 3:17 a.m. Lights on. Coffee cold. Door locked. Chair pushed against it. I can hear something downstairs. Not loud. Just a creak. Then silence. Then a soft hum. Like someone singing, but not quite. I don't know how he gets in. I don't know how he's in my head, but I know one thing. He's not trying to hurt me. He's trying to bring me into his world. And the worst part? I think I've already been there. I never thought a dating app could ruin my life. Not the way it did, anyway. I mean, sure, I've swiped left on dudes with fish pics, ghosted guys who sent memes instead of actual messages, and once matched with someone who claimed he was a professional mermaid trainer. Which, cool for him, but nah. But this wasn't just a bad date. This was the kind of thing you don't tell people at parties, because they'd either laugh or call the cops on you. I met him on Swipe Link, this new app that's supposed to be for real connections only. Whatever that means. His name was Craig. Not sexy, not exciting, but his profile was clean. No gym selfies, no duck faces, just him smiling in front of a lake with a dog. The dog looked happy. That's what sold me. Plus, he said he liked hiking, cooking, and rainy days. All normal stuff. No red flags, except maybe the fact that his bio said, "I don't believe in love at first sight, but I do believe in love by the third date." Cheesy, but harmless. We started chatting. He was funny, not trying too hard. Asked about my job, my dog, my favorite pizza topping, pineapple fight me. After a week of back and forth, he asked me out. Dinner and a walk, nothing crazy. I picked a place, this little Italian spot downtown, cozy. Always packed, bright lights, lots of people. Safety first, right? The night started okay. He showed up on time, dressed nice but not over the top. Apologized for being 5 minutes late because of traffic. He had this calm voice, deep but not creepy, and he smiled a lot. Real smiles, not the fake ones people give when they're trying to look friendly. He opened the door for me, asked if I wanted wine, remembered I was allergic to shellfish when the waiter mentioned the special. All green lights. But then, halfway through the second course, he started asking questions. Not normal ones. Like, do you ever feel like someone's watching you when you're alone? I laughed it off, said yeah, sometimes, when I leave the shower and forget my towel. He didn't laugh, just stared. Then he said, "I know exactly how that feels, because I've been watching people. For years." I froze, my fork hovered over my pasta. I thought he was joking, but his face didn't change. No smirk, no twitch, just calm, like he'd said something as boring as the weather. I mumbled something about needing the restroom and went to the bathroom, heart thudding. I checked my phone, thought about calling my friend, but what would I say? My date just admitted to being a stalker? That sounds insane. Maybe he was just messing with me. Some dark humor thing. I went back, tried to act normal, changed the subject to movies, asked if he'd seen the new horror flick. He nodded and said, "I like horror because it's honest. People die. No fake happy endings." Then he leaned in and whispered, "You'd be surprised how quiet a house gets after someone stops screaming." That's when I knew. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't just awkward. This was real. I grabbed my purse, said I wasn't feeling well, had to go. He didn't argue, just nodded, said he understood, and offered to walk me to my car. I said no, but he stood up anyway. We got outside. It was colder than I remembered, wind cutting through my jacket. He walked beside me, hands in his pockets, whistling some tune I didn't recognize. I kept glancing at my car, parked at the far end of the lot. Too far, too dark. The street lights flickered, one of them buzzing like a dying fly. Then he said, "You know, I've been watching you for 3 weeks." I stopped walking. My breath came out in white puffs. "What? Since you posted that photo with your dog at the park. You were wearing that red scarf. I followed you home that day. Watched you feed him, water your plants, lock the door twice. You always lock twice." My stomach dropped. I took a step back. "You're sick. I'm calling the police." He didn't move, just smiled. "Go ahead, but they won't find anything. I've been careful. No cameras, no traces. I even parked 2 blocks away tonight. Didn't want to scare you." I turned and ran. Not gracefully. I stumbled, nearly fell, but kept going. My keys were in my hand, fumbling, fingers numb. I heard him behind me, not running, just walking. Calm, like he knew I couldn't get away. I made it to the car, Jammed the key in, yanked the door open, threw myself inside, locked it, started the engine. I looked in the rearview mirror as I backed out. He was still there, standing in the middle of the lot, hands in pockets, watching me. Not angry, not upset, just waiting. I drove straight home, windows up, doors locked, phone in my lap ready to dial 911. I didn't sleep that night. Kept checking the locks, the windows, the backyard. My dog, usually a heavy sleeper, was restless too, growling at the door every hour. 2 days passed. Nothing. No texts, no calls, no weird emails. I started to think maybe it was all in my head. Maybe he was just a weird guy with a dark sense of humor. Maybe I overreacted. Then, on the third night, I found the photo. It was on my nightstand. A printed 4x6 glossy. Me asleep in my bed, one arm hanging off the side, dog curled at my feet. Taken from the corner of the room. The exact spot where my closet door doesn't close all the way. I tore the house apart. Checked every closet, under the bed, behind the shower curtain. Nothing. But the back door, my reinforced steel door with the deadbolt I installed last year, was unlocked. Not open. Unlocked. I called the cops. They came, took the photo, asked a bunch of questions, said they'd look into it. But what could they do? No forced entry. No fingerprints. No proof it was him. I moved out a week later. Left the apartment, the furniture, even my favorite mug. Just packed a suitcase and drove to my sister's place 2 states over. Changed my number, deleted all my apps, got a new dog carrier with a lock. Thought I was safe. Then, last Tuesday, I came home from work and found a note on my windshield. Not in an envelope. Just folded, held down by the wiper blade. It said, "Asterisk, I like your new haircut. Blue looks good on you, asterisk." I haven't left the house since. Not for work, not for groceries, not even to walk the dog. I keep the lights off, the blinds closed, the security system on high. My sister checks on me through the peephole every few hours, leaves food by the door. And every night, around 2:17 a.m., my phone buzzes. No caller ID. Just a single text. Still watching. I don't know how he found me here. I don't know how he knows what I'm doing. I don't know why he's doing this. But I do know one thing. He's not just watching. He's waiting. So there's this app everyone's obsessed with now, SwipeSync. Not because it's better than the others, but because it actually works. Like, people actually go on real dates, stay matched for weeks, even see each other again. My buddy Jake swore he met his now-girlfriend on it after only 3 swipes. Said she looked like a mix between a yoga instructor and someone who could beat you up in an alley. I didn't believe him until I saw them together at brunch, laughing over avocado toast like they'd known each other forever. That's when I downloaded it. I wasn't desperate or anything. Just tired of hanging out with the same crew every weekend, watching the same shows, hearing the same jokes. I wanted something different. Someone different. So I set up my profile with a decent pic, me in a black hoodie, standing in front of that mural downtown, the one with the giant owl made out of flowers. Wrote something simple. Into long walks, bad movies, and good coffee. Let's skip the small talk. Got a few matches right away. Most were boring. One girl sent a selfie with her cat wearing sunglasses. Cute, but nah. Then I got her. Her name was Lila. Profile pic was her on a beach, back turned, looking at the ocean. Long brown hair, bare feet in the sand. Bio said, "I remember every dream I have. Last night I dreamed about a house with no doors." That's it. No smiley faces, no looking for my partner in crime. None of that crap. Just that one line. Weird, but I liked it. Felt real. We matched. Started texting. She didn't play games. Answered fast. Asked questions that weren't the usual "what do you do?" or "favorite color." Instead, she asked if I ever had a moment where time felt sticky, like it slowed down for no reason. I told her about this one time in middle school when the clock in math class stopped making sense for like 10 minutes. I swear the second hand was moving backward. She said she knew exactly what I meant. We talked for 5 days before she agreed to meet. Not at a bar, not a coffee shop. She wanted to meet at this old planetarium on the edge of town. Said it closed years ago but she knew someone who could get us in. I thought she was messing with me. Then she sent a photo of the inside, dome ceiling, cracked projector, dusty control panel. Be here Saturday, 10 p.m. Bring a flashlight. I should have said no. Should have laughed it off. But I didn't. I was curious. And yeah, maybe a little into her already. Saturday came. I drove out past the industrial zone, past the shuttered mini-golf place, past the abandoned drive-in theater with its rusted speaker posts. The planetarium was squat and gray, half hidden behind a line of dead trees. No lights on. No cars. I parked and texted her. Here. She replied. Asterisk go to the side door. It's unlocked star. I did. Pushed it open. Inside, the air was thick, like walking into a closet full of old books and wet carpet. I turned on my flashlight. Beam cut through the dark, landing on the curved floor of the main hall. She was already there, standing under the dome, arms crossed, wearing a long gray coat. Looked like she'd been waiting forever. No smile. Just nodded when I walked in. You came, she said. Not a question. More like she was confirming something. I said yeah, obviously. Asked how she got in. She didn't answer. Just turned and walked toward the control room. I followed. Inside, it was smaller than I thought. Dusty panels, tangled wires, a metal chair tipped over. She sat down in it, spun slowly. This used to be my favorite place, she said. When I was a kid, my dad worked here. He'd bring me on weekends. Turn off the lights, fire up the stars. I'd lie on the floor and pretend I was floating. Her voice was flat. No nostalgia. Just facts. I didn't know what to say. So I asked if she wanted to see the stars again. She looked at me. Really looked, like she was seeing past my face. Then she said, yeah, let's try. She got up, moved to the main console, flipped a switch. Nothing. Tried another. A low hum started. Then, one by one, tiny pinpricks of light appeared on the dome above us. Stars. Not random. Formed shapes. Constellations. But wrong. One looked like a hand with too many fingers. Another like a spiral that kept shifting. I stared up, mouth open. How? I finally said. She didn't answer. Just kept adjusting dials, muttering under her breath. The hum got louder. The lights pulsed. Then the temperature dropped. Not just cold, like the air had been sucked of warmth. My breath came out in white puffs. I turned to her. She was still working the controls, but her hands were moving too fast, jerking like she was having a seizure. I stepped closer. Lila. She didn't respond. Her eyes were wide, unblinking. The lights above us started spinning. Faster. The hum turned into a groan, like metal twisting. I reached for her shoulder. Her head snapped toward me. Not fast. Too fast. Like a video skipping frames. Her eyes were black. Not pupils. Just solid black. I stepped back. She smiled. Not her smile. Too wide. Too many teeth. You shouldn't have come, she said. But it wasn't her voice. Deeper. Layered. Like someone speaking through water. I turned and ran. Slid on the dusty floor. Caught myself. Bolted for the door. Behind me, the lights went wild. Strobing. The groan turned into a scream. Mechanical, but not. Like the building itself was hurting. I reached the side door. Pulled. Locked. No, not locked. Stuck. Like something was holding it shut. I yanked harder. Nothing. Turned back. She was there. Not walking. Just there. 10 feet away. Still smiling. You're part of it now, she said. You saw the sky. You heard the sound. You're connected. I don't know how I got out. Maybe the door gave way. Maybe I broke it. I remember running to my car, fumbling with the keys, peeling out onto the road. Didn't look back. Drove straight home. Locked the door. Checked every window. Every closet. Felt stupid, but also not. Because when I turned off the lights in my room, I saw it. On the ceiling. Faint. Like a reflection. Stars. Moving. Shifting into shapes I didn't recognize. I covered it with a blanket. Didn't sleep. Texted her in the morning. What the hell was that? No reply. Blocked me. Checked her profile. Gone. Like she never existed. But it didn't stop. That night, the stars were back. On my walls. On the bathroom mirror. Always moving. Always forming patterns. I started hearing the hum. Not loud. Just there. In the walls. In the pipes. In my head. I stopped going to work. Stopped answering calls. I read everything I could about the planetarium. Found old news articles. It shut down in the 90s after a technician died. Fell into the projector room during maintenance. Crushed. His name was Daniel Voss. Lila Voss was listed as next of kin. I drove back last night. Needed to know. The side door was open. Inside, the control room was clean. No dust. No wires. The console was on. Humming. The dome above was dark. I stepped in. Lila. Silence. Then a whisper. Not from one place. From everywhere. You came back. I turned. She was there. Not the girl from the beach. Older. Paler. Dressed in a janitor's uniform. Her eyes normal. Human. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't want to do it. But it needs two. One to run the machine. One to see the sky. He picked you. I asked who. She pointed up. The dome lit up. Not stars. A face. Twisted. Stretching across the curve. Mouth open in a silent scream. Her father. Trapped. Feeding the machine. Keeping it alive. And now it wanted me. She said she tried to warn me with the dream thing. The sticky time. That was him, reaching through. Trying to stop her. But she had no choice. The machine demands balance. A watcher. A scene. I ran again. Broke my phone on the way out. Threw it in a storm drain. But I know it doesn't matter. Because last night, I woke up and the stars were on the ceiling again. And this time, they spelled my name. So I met her on this dating app, right? Not one of those sketchy ones everyone jokes about, but the big one everyone uses. You know the type. Swipe left, swipe right, match, ghost, repeat. I'd been doing it for months, barely talking to anyone past 2 messages. Then she showed up. Her name was Leah. Profile pic was her laughing on a beach. Wind in her hair. Golden light hitting her face like some movie scene. Bio said she liked long walks, bad jokes, and horror movies. I thought, cool. Someone who doesn't take themselves too seriously. Sent her a dumb pun about zombies and brains. She replied with one about vampires and bad blood. We were off. We texted for like 2 weeks. Not constant, but enough that I started looking forward to my phone buzzing. She wasn't pushy, didn't ask for nudes or anything weird, just normal back and forth. We talked about music, stupid stuff we hated. That one teacher in high school who scared us for no reason. She said she worked at a vet clinic, loved animals, had a cat named Pickles. Sounded real. Felt real. After a while, she suggested meeting. Coffee. Daytime. Public place. All the boxes checked. I said yeah. We picked this little place downtown. One of those quiet ones with mismatched chairs and chalkboard menus. I got there early, nervous, ordering a black coffee just to have something to do with my hands. When she walked in, I recognized her from the photo, but better. She had this calm energy, like she wasn't trying to impress anyone. Smiled when she saw me, sat down, said my name like she'd known me for years. We talked for over 2 hours. No awkward silences, no forced topics. Just easy, like we'd already known each other. I remember thinking, this is actually happening. Like for real. We ended up walking around the city after, just talking. She pointed out this mural no one ever notices. Told me about the guy who painted it during a snowstorm. We shared fries from a food truck. She stole one from my hand and laughed when I pretended to be mad. It felt like a movie, but the good kind. The kind where you forget you're watching something. By the end of the day, I was hooked. We started seeing each other every weekend. Sometimes just hanging out. Sometimes go to shows or flea markets. She had this thing where she'd find weird old trinkets, broken watches, rusted keys, chip mugs, and say they had stories. She'd hold them like they were important. I thought it was cute, kind of quirky. One night, she took me to this abandoned mini-golf course on the edge of town. Overgrown, faded windmills, cracked concrete. She said it was her favorite spot to think. We sat on a bench near the last hole. looking at the graffiti-covered clown face. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I remember the smell of damp grass and her shampoo. I thought I was falling for her. Maybe already had. Then things got off. It started small. She'd text me late at night, asking if I was alone. Not in a flirty way. More like she was checking. Then she started showing up unannounced. Once, I opened my door and she was just standing there, smiling, holding a thermos. Said she wanted to surprise me. I let her in, but it felt weird, like she'd been watching. Another time, I mentioned in passing I liked this one brand of soda. Next day, my fridge was full of it. Not the kind of full, like stacked to the top. I asked her about it. She just said she saw it on sale and thought of me. But I didn't tell her I liked it until that morning. And she didn't live near me. I tried to brush it off. Maybe she was just really into me. I'd heard about people like that. Over the top, love bombing, whatever the term is. But then I started noticing other things. Like how she never talked about her family. Or her past. If I asked, she'd change the subject fast. Or how she never let me come to her place. Always met at mine, or somewhere public. Said her apartment was a mess. Whatever. Then one night, I woke up to my phone buzzing. 3:17 a.m. It was her. A single message. You're still asleep, right? I didn't reply. Just stared at it. Why would she ask that? Why care? I sat up, looked around my room. Everything normal. But I got this feeling, like someone had been in there. Not a spooky ghost feeling. More like the air was wrong. Like the space had been used while I wasn't paying attention. I started checking things. My laptop was closed, but the fan was warm. My closet door was open an inch more than I left it. My jacket on the chair. Someone had folded it. I never fold clothes. I stood there, heart going too fast, trying to tell myself I was overreacting. Maybe I just didn't remember right. But I knew I hadn't folded that jacket. Next day, I confronted her. Not angry, just confused. Asked why she'd text me that. She looked at me like I was the weird one. Said she had insomnia. Checks on people she cares about. That she worries. I almost bought it. Almost. But then she said, "You don't remember me being here last night, do you?" My blood went cold. I said no. She smiled. Oh, I must have dreamed it. But she didn't sound unsure. She sounded satisfied. I started avoiding her after that. Short replies. Canceled plans. She didn't push. Just sent little messages. Miss you. Hope you're safe. You look tired in your profile pic. Are you sleeping? I changed my profile. She still commented on it. How? She shouldn't even see it if I wasn't active. Then I found the photos. I was cleaning out my phone, going through old pics. And there they were. Dozens of them. All of me. Sleeping. In my bed. Shirt off, mouth open. One with my hand on my chest like I was having a bad dream. Taken from the foot of the bed. From the corner of the room. From the doorway. Dates on them. Some from weeks ago. Nights I'd woken up feeling watched. Nights I'd sworn I heard breathing. I didn't panic. Not at first. I just sat there, staring. Trying to figure out how. My phone was locked. My door was locked. Windows too. Then I remembered the smoke detector in my bedroom. I'd noticed it looked a little off a few weeks back. Like the cover was loose. I got a chair, took it down. Inside wasn't a battery. It was a tiny camera. Black, smooth, no markings. Wired into the housing. Someone had replaced it. I didn't call the cops. Not yet. I wanted to know how deep it went. So I played along. Texted her like nothing happened. Said I'd been sick, hadn't been online. She replied instantly. Get well soon. I worry. I waited. 2 days later, I came home early from work. Left my keys on purpose. Pretended to go back for them. Parked down the street. Watched my apartment. She showed up 30 minutes later. Not in her usual clothes. Dark hoodie, gloves. Looked around before going in. 10 minutes later, she came out. Zipped the hoodie higher. I waited, then went up. My door was locked. But when I opened it, the air was different. Cooler. Like a window had been open. My bedroom window was cracked. And my smoke detector? Back in place. Fresh. I didn't sleep there again. Stayed at a friend's. Changed all my locks. Took every battery out of every detector. called the building manager, said I wanted new ones installed. He came the next day, took the old ones down, handed them to me. I kept them. I thought that was it. I thought she'd back off. But yesterday, I got a package. No return address. Inside was a small wooden box, carved old. I opened it. Inside was a key, rusty, and a note, not typed, handwritten. You left this behind. I didn't leave anything, but I recognized the key. It was from my old apartment, the one I lived in 2 years ago, the one I never gave her the address to, the one I didn't even remember the key still existed. And underneath the key, a tiny camera, smaller than the one in the smoke detector. This one was shaped like a button, like it could have been sewn into clothes. I don't know how she got it. I don't know what she wants. But I know she's not done. Because today my mom called. Said someone came by the house asking about me. A girl. Said she was my girlfriend. Mom said she seemed nice. Asked if I'd been acting strange lately. I never thought swiping right on a girl named Maya would lead to anything more than a quick coffee and an awkward goodbye. But there was something about her profile that made me pause. Not because she was stunning. She was, don't get me wrong, but because her bio said, I only date people who can find me. No last name, no job, no mutual friends, just a blurry photo of her standing in front of some foggy woods, and that one line. I remember laughing at first, thinking it was a joke, some kind of online trend I hadn't caught on to. But then I replied with, cool, where do I start? And within minutes she wrote back, you already have. That should have been the red flag. Not the message, not even the weird vibe, but how fast I replied. I was bored, fresh out of a dead-end job, living in my cousin's basement while pretending I was figuring things out. So when she sent me coordinates the next morning, I didn't think twice. I packed a backpack with water, a flashlight, my phone, and a protein bar like I was going on some dumb treasure hunt. The location dropped me at the edge of Black Pine Forest, a place I'd heard about but never actually visited. It wasn't off limits or anything, just one of those stretches of land that locals avoided because of old stories, people getting lost, dogs going silent, that kind of thing. The GPS led me down a dirt road that eventually turned into nothing. Just packed earth and fallen branches. I parked and walked, the air getting heavier the deeper I went. Trees closed in like they were leaning over to watch. My phone lost signal fast, but the coordinates still glowed on the screen. After about 40 minutes, I found it, a small cabin, half hidden behind moss-covered pines. It looked like it hadn't been touched in decades. Windows boarded, roof sagging, but the front door was wide open, creaking in the wind like it was inviting me in. I stood there for a solid minute, heart thumping, trying to talk myself into turning back. But then I saw it, a red scarf tied to the doorknob. Maya's scarf. I recognized it from her profile pic. That's when I knew she was here, or had been. I stepped inside. Dust floated in the light, coming through cracks in the walls. The floor groaned under my weight. No furniture, no signs of life. Just old newspapers scattered like someone had torn them apart. I called out her name once, twice. Nothing. Then I noticed something on the far wall. Words scratched into the wood. You're closer than you think. I don't know why I didn't leave. Maybe it was the adrenaline, or the stupid pride of wanting to prove I could solve the game. But I stayed. I started searching. Found a trapdoor under a pile of moldy carpet, leading down to a cellar. The ladder was rotten, but it held. At the bottom, the air was damp and cold. I turned on my flashlight, and that's when I saw them, photos. Hundreds of them, taped to the walls, pinned to the ceiling, stacked in corners. All of women. Different ages, different clothes, but all with the same expression, confused, scared, like they didn't know the picture was being taken. And in the center of the room, a single chair with a phone mounted on a tripod pointing at it. That's when I realized I wasn't the first guy to get coordinates. I wasn't special. I was just the next one. My hand started shaking. I backed up, but my foot hit something. A notebook. I picked it up, flipped it open. Inside were names, dates, notes. Sarah didn't make it past the woods. Derek lasted 3 hours. Jason cried the whole time. And then, on the last page, my name. Written in fresh ink. Ethan, arrived 4:17 p.m. Still breathing. I dropped the book like it burned me. That's when the door above slammed shut. I ran up the ladder, shoved the trapdoor with all my strength, but it wouldn't budge. Something heavy was on top. I screamed, kicked, punched the wood until my knuckles split, but no sound came from outside. The cabin was silent. Then the lights came on. Not the room. I mean the phone on the tripod lit up. The screen flashed. Smile, smiley face. I froze. That wasn't possible. No Wi-Fi, no signal. The phone shouldn't even turn on. But it did. And then it started recording. The red light blinked. I backed into the corner, heart slamming against my ribs. Minutes passed. Nothing happened. Then the screen changed. A video started playing. It was me. From earlier. Walking through the trees. Looking at the cabin. Stepping inside. Every angle, every moment. Like someone had been following me the whole time. And then, in the footage, I saw it. A figure in the trees. Just behind me. Wearing a mask made of stitched-together fabric. Like old clothes sewn into a face. It never moved fast. It just stayed there. Watching. Matching my pace. I turned around, shining my flashlight at the stairs, the walls, the ceiling. Nothing. But the phone kept recording. The screen now read, "Your turn to watch." Another video started. This one was different. A girl, tied to that same chair, mouth covered with tape. She was thrashing, eyes wide, tears streaming. The camera stayed fixed on her while someone off-screen hummed. A lullaby. I didn't recognize the tune, but it was slow, off-key, like a music box winding down. After a few minutes, the humming stopped. The girl stopped moving. The video ended. Then another one played. A guy this time. Same chair. Same gag. Same humming. Same ending. I must have watched 6, maybe 7 of them before the screen went black. Then, new text. "You have 20 minutes to leave, or you'll be next." I didn't waste time. I grabbed the ladder and started kicking the trapdoor with everything I had. Wood cracked. Dust rained down. On the 5th kick, it gave way. I climbed out, sprinting across the cellar floor, up into the cabin, then through the front door and into the trees. I didn't look back. I ran until my lungs burned, until the trees thinned, until I saw my car. I drove home without stopping, locked every door, checked every closet, stayed awake all night with the lights on. The next day, I deleted the dating app, blocked the number Maya used, tried to convince myself it was a prank, some elaborate setup. But that night, as I lay in bed, my phone buzzed. No caller ID. Just a message. "You left your backpack." I checked the backseat of my car. It was gone. 3 days later, a package arrived at my cousin's house. No return address. Inside was my backpack, soaked in something dark and sticky. And at the bottom, a new phone. Screen cracked, but on. Playing a loop of me running through the trees. The masked figure right behind me. Closer than before. The recording quality was too good. Like it wasn't from a phone. Like it was filmed from someone's eyes. I threw the phone in the river. Burned the backpack in the backyard. Told no one. But last night, I saw something in my bathroom mirror. Just for a second. A flash of red. The same shade as Maya's scarf. And behind me, in the reflection, the shape of someone standing in the hallway. Not moving. Just breathing. I didn't turn around. I don't think I can. Because now my phone is missing. And I keep hearing a hum. Low. Quiet. Like a song I shouldn't know. It started like any other Friday night. Me. Pizza grease on my fingers, lying on the couch with my phone glowing in my face, scrolling through profiles like I was picking a snack from a vending machine. That's when I saw her. Claire. Short brown hair, messy in that cool way. Like she didn't care, but somehow still looked perfect. Her bio said she liked horror movies, bad puns, and long walks that don't end in serial killer territory. I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. That's how I knew I had to message her. We talked for days. Not that weird small talk everyone does at first. No, "Hey, how's your day?" Nonsense. Real stuff. She told me about how she hated cilantro because it tasted like soap, and I admitted I still slept with a nightlight sometimes after watching too many scary movies as a kid. We were weird in the same way. It felt easy. Too easy, maybe. But I didn't care. When she suggested we meet at this old diner off Route 17, Sandy's Diner, the kind with cracked vinyl seats and a jukebox that only played 80s rock, I said yes before she even finished typing. The place was farther out than I expected. GPS kept cutting out once I passed the last gas station, and the streetlights got sparser until they just stopped. My phone barely had signal. I remember thinking, this is fine. People still live out here. It's not like I'm driving into a movie. I pulled into the parking lot just after 9. The diner was lit up like a beacon in the dark, neon sign buzzing, one of the letters flickering, S_NDYs. The lot was empty except for a beat-up blue pickup with a dented tailgate. I texted her, I'm here. Your truck? No reply. I waited inside. The air smelled like old coffee and fried onions. A guy in a greasy apron wiped down the counter without looking at me. I sat in a booth near the window, watching my breath fog up the glass. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. I checked my phone again. Nothing. No new messages, no running late. Not even a read receipt. I started to feel stupid. Maybe she bailed. Maybe she realized I was boring or weird or whatever. I was about to get up and leave when the bell above the door jingled. It was her. She walked in like she owned the place, wearing a black hoodie with the hood down, hair slightly damp like she'd just come in from the rain. She smiled when she saw me, and that smile made my chest feel tight in a good way. She slid into the booth across from me, tossing her phone on the table like it was nothing. Sorry, she said. Car trouble. Had to walk the last mile. Her voice was lower than I expected, kind of rough, like she'd been smoking even though she told me she didn't. We talked. A lot. More than we ever did over text. She told me about her dog, a mutt named Rex who hated thunderstorms. I told her about my dumb dream of opening a food truck that only served grilled cheese with weird toppings. She laughed at the one with jalapenos and honey. We ordered milkshakes, chocolate for me, strawberry for her, and the waitress barely looked up when she dropped them off. Time slipped by. I didn't notice the clock, didn't care that it was past midnight. The world outside the diner windows was just black now, no headlights, no movement. It felt like we were the only two people left. Then she said, "You want to get out of here?" I nodded like an idiot. Of course I did. We left our half-finished shakes on the table, the straws still in them. The air outside was colder than it should have been for early fall. My breath came out in thick clouds. She didn't seem to mind. She walked fast, not toward the parking lot, but down a narrow dirt path behind the diner. "Shortcut," she said. "My place is just past the woods." I hesitated. "Your place? I thought you were driving." She stopped, turned, looked at me. "I walked here, remember? Car's still broken." That didn't make sense. If her car broke down, why didn't she call a tow? Why walk all the way here just to meet me? But I didn't say anything. I just followed. The path was barely visible under the moonlight, overgrown with weeds and tree roots snaking across the ground. Branches scraped my arms. The deeper we went, the quieter it got. No crickets, no owls, nothing. Just the sound of our feet crunching on dead leaves. After 10 minutes, the trees opened up into a small clearing. There was a cabin, old, leaning to one side, paint peeling like sunburnt skin. One window had a light on, yellow and flickering. She didn't knock, just pushed the door open and stepped inside. I stood there, heart thudding. Something was off, really off. But I couldn't turn back now. Not after coming this far. Inside, it smelled like damp wood and something else, metallic, sharp. Blood? I didn't want to think about it. The living room was cluttered with boxes, old furniture, and a TV with the screen cracked. On the wall, there were photos, dozens of them, all of women, different ages, different hair, different clothes. But they all had one thing in common. They were all taken in public places, cafes, parks, gas stations, and every single one had a red circle drawn around their face. I looked at Claire. She was watching me, expressionless. "That's a lot of pictures," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She didn't answer, just walked over to a drawer, pulled out a Polaroid camera. Click. A flash. She handed me the photo before it fully developed. It was me, sitting in the diner booth. The timestamp in the corner said 9:07 p.m., but I hadn't noticed anyone taking my picture. I hadn't even looked up. My hand started to shake. She reached behind the couch and pulled out a shoebox. Opened it. Inside were more photos. Me again, walking into my apartment building yesterday. Me buying snacks at the gas station last week. Me sleeping, through my bedroom window, the flash reflecting in the glass. How? I whispered. She tilted her head, like I was a bug she'd never seen before. You were easy, she said. Too eager. Too lonely. You didn't ask questions. Didn't wonder why I agreed to meet so fast. Didn't care that I knew your name before you told me. I backed toward the door. My fingers fumbled with the knob. Locked. You're not Claire, are you? I said. She smiled. Claire was the girl who used to live here. Before me. Before me. Not before she died. Before me. Like she'd taken her place. Worn her skin. Used her profile. Her laugh. Her voice. I lunged for the window, smashed it with my elbow. Glass cut into my arm, but I didn't feel it. I climbed through, fell onto the dirt, scrambled up. I ran. No path, just straight through the trees, branches whipping my face, roots tripping me. I didn't look back. I didn't stop until I reached the road. My car was still there. I fumbled with the keys, got in, slammed the door, locked it. I turned the engine on and peeled out, tires spitting gravel. I drove straight to the police. Told them everything. They checked the diner. Sandy's was closed for renovations. Had been for 6 months. No employees working that night. No blue pickup in the lot. They went to the cabin. Found nothing. No footprints. No photos. No sign anyone had been living there. Just an empty, rotting building with a broken window. They said I probably imagined it. Stress. Sleep deprivation. Maybe I fell asleep on the couch and dreamed the whole thing. But I know what I saw. Because 2 days later, I found a Polaroid taped to my front door. It was me, asleep in my bed. And on the back, written in red ink, first date jitters? Let's try again. I left my number under your windshield wiper. Call me. I haven't touched my phone since. I keep the lights on. I don't go outside after dark. And every time my door creaks, I freeze. Because I know she's not done. She likes the chase. She likes the fear. And worst part, I already swiped right. I already said yes. And she remembers my name. I downloaded a dating app after my buddy Jake kept bragging about how he met some girl who made him pancakes at 3 in the morning and didn't even flinch when he spilled syrup on her couch. Said she laughed like it was the funniest thing ever. I didn't believe him, but I was bored, lonely, and honestly kind of desperate to not spend another Friday night arguing with a video game AI while eating cold pizza straight from the box. Anyway, her name was Lila. Profile pic showed her sitting on a wooden dock with her feet in the still, glassy lake. Sunlight hitting her hair, just right so it looked like gold wire. She had this half smile, like she knew a secret you didn't. Bio said she liked old horror movies, hiking, and making pottery. No gym selfies, no duck faces, no photos with dogs she probably didn't even own. It felt real. Too real, maybe. But I swiped right. Match. We started talking. She responded fast, not too eager, not too cold. We joked about bad blind dates, swapped movie recommendations, and after a few days, she asked if I wanted to meet up. I said yes. Dumb move? Maybe. But she suggested this little coffee shop on the edge of town, near the old train depot. Said it was quiet, had good pastries, and the barista knew her by name. Sounded harmless. Felt safe. I wore jeans, a clean hoodie, and actually combed my hair. Drove over on a Saturday afternoon, parked across the street, and texted her I was outside. She said she'd come out in a minute. I waited. Watched the door. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Checked my phone. No new messages. Walked inside. Empty except for the guy behind the counter wiping down the espresso machine. I asked if a girl named Lila was there. He gave me this blank look. Said no one like that had come in all day. I showed him her picture. He squinted, shook his head. Never seen her. Weird, I thought. Maybe she changed her mind. Maybe she got spooked. I texted her. No reply. Unmatched me an hour later. I shrugged it off. Ghosted. Happens. Annoying, but not the end of the world. I almost forgot about her until Tuesday. Got a message. From her. Said she was sorry that something came up. Family stuff. Asked if I wanted to try again. This time at her place. She lived in one of those old converted warehouses downtown. Artist lofts. Industrial vibes. Exposed brick. That kind of thing. She sent a photo of the building. Tall, narrow. Dark red brick with tall windows that looked like eyes. Said her unit was on the 4th floor. I could come by Friday night. Bring wine if I wanted. I did. A cheap bottle of red. The kind you grab last second because you don't know what you're doing. Showed up at 8. The front door was heavy metal, buzzing system. I pressed her unit number. No answer. Tried again. Nothing. Waited. Checked my phone. She'd read the message I sent saying I was downstairs. No reply. Then the door clicked open. No voice, no warning. Just unlocked. I pushed it and stepped into a dim hallway with concrete floors and flickering overhead lights. Smelled like dust and something else. Wet stone, maybe. Old pipes. I took the stairs instead of the elevator because the elevator looked like it hadn't worked in a decade. Each step echoed. 4th floor. Her door was at the end of the hall. Number 417. Paint was peeling. I knocked. Door opened on its own. Not all the way. Just enough to swing inward with a slow, groaning creak. I called her name. Nothing. Pushed it wider. Lights were off. Place was empty. No furniture. No rugs. No signs anyone lived there. Just bare floors, blank walls, and a single lamp in the corner, flickering like a dying bulb. I stepped in. Said her name again. My voice bounced off the walls. Then I saw it. A phone on the floor. Hers. Screen cracked, but still on. Locked. I picked it up. No password. Opened it. Messages from me. Photos of the lake, the dock. All fake. None of it real. I checked her profile on the app. Still up. Still active. But no other matches. No mutual friends. Nothing. That's when I noticed the closet. Door slightly open. Dark inside. I didn't want to look. But I did. Pulled it open. Hanging there, like clothes on a rack, were outfits. Dozens of them. All different styles. Hoodies, dresses, button-ups. And each one had a tag. Names written in Sharpie. Jake. Tyler. Marcus. Me. My stomach dropped. I backed out. Heart slamming. Phone still in hand. Ran down the stairs. Didn't care about the noise. Burst through the front door. Cold air hit my face. I didn't stop walking until I was 2 blocks away. Hand shaking. Breathing hard. Next day, I deleted the app. Blocked her number. Told myself it was some sick prank. Some catfish with a creepy sense of humor. But I couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about those tags. Those names. Jake. My Jake. The one with the pancake girl. I found him on social media. Posted a photo 2 weeks ago. Arm around a girl with gold wire hair. Sitting on a dock. Same lake. Same smile. I messaged him. Asked if it was real. He said yeah. Her name was Lila. Sweet girl. Quiet. Loved old horror movies. They'd been seeing each other for a month. I told him to check her place. He laughed. Said he'd been there. It was artsy, messy, full of pottery. No bare walls. No closet full of tag clothes. But he did say something weird. That she never let him stay the night. Always made up an excuse. Said she liked her space. I didn't say anything else. Just told him to be careful. A week later, he stopped posting. Not just stopped posting. His profile vanished. No warning. No final message. Gone. I tried calling. No answer. Drove to his apartment. Landlord said he moved out suddenly. Left the key on the counter. Didn't take most of his stuff. TV still there. Bed unmade. I stood in his hallway, staring at his door, and realized something. The hoodie he always wore, the one he loved, the gray one with the frayed sleeve, was missing. The one in the closet, tagged with his name. I should have gone to the police. But what would I say? My buddy disappeared after dating a girl who might not exist. That I found a fake apartment full of clothes with names on them. They'd think I was nuts. Or worse, involved. So I did the only thing I could. I went back to the warehouse. Same time. Same day. Just to see. Front door was unlocked again. Stairs creaked the same way. 4th floor. For 17. Door open a crack. I didn't go in this time. Just stood there. Listened. From inside, faint sound. Like fabric dragging. Then a zipper. Slow. Deliberate. And then soft, barely audible, someone humming. A tune I didn't recognize. Calm. Almost happy. I didn't wait. Turned and left. Didn't look back. But here's the thing. Last night my phone buzzed. New match. Same profile picture. Same name. Lila. Bio updated. Now says, I've been looking for someone like you. I didn't open it. Deleted the app again. Threw my phone in the other room, like it was on fire. But this morning, I found it on my nightstand. Screen on. Her message still there. And under it, one more line. Sent at 3:17 a.m. Asterisk, you left your hoodie here. I kept it safe. Asterisk. I never thought swiping right on some random guy would lead to me hiding in a closet with my phone flashlight off, holding my breath while something scratched at the bedroom door like it knew I was there. It started normal enough, like any other boring Tuesday night scrolling through apps, looking for someone who didn't ghost after 2 messages. His name was Jason. Profile pic showed him smiling in front of a lake, arms crossed, wearing a flannel shirt that looked like it came straight from a catalog. His bio said he liked hiking, dogs, and making breakfast for people. Not bad. We matched. We chatted. He was funny, asked real questions. Didn't send any weird memes or shirtless selfies. After a week of texting, he asked me out. Dinner and a walk by the river. Seemed chill. Safe. I wore my black jeans and the jacket my sister said made me look approachable, but not desperate. The restaurant was small, candlelit, the kind of place where the menu costs more than my monthly phone bill. He showed up on time. Looked exactly like his photos, maybe even better. Tall, clean haircut, smelled like pine and soap. We talked about everything. Movies we hated. That one teacher in high school who gave pop quizzes every Friday. Our weird food combinations. He liked peanut butter on pickles. I laughed way too hard. By the time dessert came, I was thinking, okay, maybe this is actually going somewhere. He suggested a walk after. The river path was lit by old-fashioned street lamps, the kind that cast long shadows, but still made everything feel cozy. We walked close, shoulders brushing, and I remember thinking how easy it was, how natural. No awkward silences, no trying too hard. When he took my hand, it didn't feel forced. It felt like something that was supposed to happen. We ended up at his place. Not planned. Just sort of happened. He lived in this converted loft downtown, one of those industrial spaces with exposed brick and high ceilings. He said he worked in architecture, which explained why everything looked like it belonged in a magazine. The couch was gray. The coffee table had books stacked just right, and there was a record player spinning some soft jazz tune I didn't recognize. We sat close, talking, and then kissing, and before I knew it, we were in his bedroom. It was dark, warm, the kind of room that made you want to stay. I remember the sheets were cool against my skin. We fell asleep wrapped up in each other, and for the first time in a long time, I felt calm. I woke up around 3 a.m. to the sound of water running. Not the shower, the sink in the bathroom attached to his room. The door was cracked open, light spilling out in a thin yellow line. I sat up, rubbed my eyes, thinking he was brushing his teeth or whatever. But then I heard it. A low hum. Not a song. More like a vibration, deep and steady, like something mechanical. I called out his name, soft at first. No answer. Just the water and that hum. I got up, wrapped the sheet around me, and walked to the bathroom. The door creaked when I pushed it open. The sink was running, faucet turned all the way, water overflowing onto the floor. But no one was there. The mirror was fogged, but I could see shapes in the steam. Lines, like someone had drawn on it. I reached out, wiped a section clear. There were words, not written in marker or soap. carved, shallow but deliberate, my name, and under it, still here. I backed up fast, heart slamming, and that's when I noticed the cabinet under the sink was open. I never open other people's cabinets, but something about it felt wrong, like it was supposed to be closed. I crouched down, peered inside. Toothpaste, razors, a spare towel. Nothing weird. But then I saw it. A small metal box tucked behind the pipes. I pulled it out. No lock, just a latch. Inside were photos, dozens of them, all women. Different hair, different clothes, but all in this room, all in his bed. And all of them had the same look on their faces. Not happy, not sad, empty, like they were somewhere else. And on the back of each one, a date. The most recent was 2 weeks ago. My hand started shaking. I dropped the box, stood up too fast, hit my head on the cabinet. The noise echoed. That's when the water shut off. The hum stopped. Silence. Then footsteps. Coming from the hallway. Not walking. Dragging. Like someone heavy, moving slow. I froze. The bedroom door was closed. I hadn't closed it. I was sure of it. I didn't think. I just moved. Dropped the sheet. Grabbed my clothes. Shoved them on as quiet as I could. The footsteps got closer. Closer. I looked around. No windows in the bedroom. Just the door. I couldn't go out there. I spotted the closet. Big, floor to ceiling. Built into the wall. I yanked it open. Slipped inside. Pulled the door shut just as the main door creaked open. Darkness. Thick and heavy. I pressed myself against the back. Bare feet on cold wood. Trying not to breathe. I heard him walk in. Felt a shift in the air. He didn't turn on the light. Just stood there. Then the bed creaked. He sat down. I could hear him breathing. Slow. Even. Like he was waiting. Minutes passed. My phone buzzed in my jeans pocket. Loud. Too loud. I fumbled to silence it, but it was too late. The closet door flew open. Light from the hallway hit my face. He stood there, not angry. Not surprised. Just calm. Wearing the same flannel shirt from his profile pic. His eyes didn't look right. Too wide. Too still. He reached in. Grabbed my arm. Not hard, but firm. Pulled me out like I weighed nothing. I tried to scream, but my throat locked up. He walked me to the bed. Sat me down. Then sat beside me like nothing happened. Then he smiled. Not at me. At the wall. At the photo hanging above the nightstand. It was me. Taken earlier that night. Before we fell asleep. I never saw a camera. I never heard a click. He leaned close. His breath warm on my ear. You're different, he whispered. You stayed awake. I didn't understand. Not then. But I do now. He doesn't kill them. Not really. He collects them. Their presence. Their energy. Their fear. He said some stay for days. Some for weeks. But eventually, they go quiet. Their eyes go blank. They sit in the corner, watching, not speaking, not moving. He showed me the basement later. Not that night. A few days after. I didn't leave. I couldn't. Not because he locked the doors. Not because he threatened me. Because every time I tried to walk out, I ended up back in the bedroom. Same clothes. Same time. Like the world reset. The basement is cold. Concrete walls. Pipes running across the ceiling. And chairs. Rows of them. Facing a blank wall. And in each one, someone. Women. All of them I've seen in the photos. All of them staring. Not at me. At nothing. He calls them the quiet ones. Says they're at peace. Says I'm the only one who still fights. I don't know how long I've been here. Days. Weeks. Time doesn't work right. I tried smashing the mirror. It didn't break. I screamed until my voice gave out. No one came. He just watches. Takes pictures. Leaves meals at the door. Always the same. Scrambled eggs, toast, orange juice. My favorite. Sometimes I hear them. The quiet ones. Not with my ears. In my head. Whispering. Telling me to sit. To stop fighting. To join them. Last night, I almost did. I walked down the stairs, barefoot. Heart slow. Like it wasn't mine anymore. I sat in the empty chair at the end. Felt the calm. Felt the pull. But then I saw my reflection in the metal pipe above. My eyes. Still mine. Still scared. Still alive. So I ran back up, locked myself in the bathroom, scratched my name into the mirror, just like the others. Proof I was here. Proof I remember. He hasn't come for me yet. Maybe he's waiting. Maybe he knows I'm close. Maybe he wants me to break on my own. I don't know how much longer I can hold on. The whispers are louder now. The bed feels softer. The photos on the wall blink when I'm not looking. But I'm still here. I'm still writing this. I don't know who'll read it, if anyone will. But if you're out there, and you see a guy with a flannel shirt, smiling too much, asking too many questions, don't go to his place. Don't fall asleep. And whatever you do, don't wake up to the sound of water running. So there's this app. You know the one. The kind that shows up in ads when you're doom scrolling at 2 a.m. All soft lighting and smiling faces, promising you love with zero effort. Swipe, match, chat, meet. Easy. I downloaded it after my buddy Jake swore his girlfriend came from it. Said she was real, not some catfish. I didn't believe him, but I was bored, lonely, and honestly, desperate enough to try anything. Her name was Mira. Profile picture was her standing in front of a lake at sunset, hair blowing like she was in a shampoo commercial. Bio said she liked long walks, horror movies, and making pasta from scratch. Said she was new in town. Sounded too good to be true. But I matched anyway. We started talking. Not the usual, hey, how's it going garbage? She actually responded. Asked about my job, my favorite movies, if I believed in ghosts. I told her I did, sort of. Not full-on poltergeists, but weird stuff happens, you know. She said she once lived in a house where the lights turned on by themselves every night at exactly 3:17 a.m. I laughed, but part of me believed her. There was something about the way she typed, like she was thinking before she answered. No emojis, no LOL. Just full sentences. It felt real. We agreed to meet at this little coffee shop downtown, the kind with exposed brick and sad indie music playing too loud. I got there early, ordered a black coffee, sat near the window, nervous. Not because I was scared of her, just because I hadn't done this in years. Real dates, not hookups. When she walked in, I almost didn't recognize her. Same face, sure, but something was off. Her movements were too smooth, like she was gliding instead of walking. She smiled, sat down, said my name like she'd known me forever. Her voice was soft, but flat. No inflection, like she was reading lines. We talked, or I talked. She listened, asked questions, nodded at the right times. But her eyes never really focused on me. They'd drift to the window, the ceiling, the barista behind the counter. When she did look at me, it felt like she was scanning me, like a barcode. I tried to ignore it. Told her about my dog, my job at the auto shop, how I liked fixing old cars. She said she liked that. Said she liked things that work. That's how she put it. Things that work. After coffee, she suggested we go for a drive. Said she wanted to see the city at night. I agreed. Stupid, but I wanted to believe it could work. We got in my truck, an old Ford with a busted radio. She sat close, but not too close. Kept her hands in her lap, palms up, like she was offering them to someone. The drive started normal. Downtown, then the river road, then out toward the woods. I asked if she wanted to go back. She said no. Said she liked the dark. Said it felt safe. Then she told me to pull over. I did. Gravel crunched under the tires. Trees surrounded us on both sides, thick and silent. No streetlights. No other cars. She turned to me and smiled. Not a nice smile. One that didn't reach her eyes. Said she had something to show me. Got out, walked around to the passenger side, opened the glove compartment, pulled out a small black box. I didn't even know it was there. I'd never seen it before. She opened it. Inside was a key. Old, rusted. Looked like it came off a skeleton. She handed it to me. Said, "This is yours now." I asked what it was for. She didn't answer. Just stared. Then she said, "You're the only one who can open it." I asked what it was. She leaned in, so close I could smell her breath, like wet soil and old paper, and whispered, "The door." I laughed. Nervous. Said it was a weird joke. She didn't laugh. Just kept staring. Then she reached into her coat and pulled out a photo, handed it to me. It was me, but not me. I was standing in front of a house I'd never seen, wearing clothes I didn't own. Behind me, in the window, was a figure. Tall, thin, face blurred. The date on the back was yesterday. I dropped the photo. Asked how she got it. She said, "You gave it to me." I didn't. I swear I didn't. My heart was pounding. I told her I wanted to go back. She didn't move. Just sat there, hands back in her lap, waiting. I started the truck. Tried to back up. The engine wouldn't turn over. I tried again. Nothing. Not even a click. I checked the battery, the fuses. Everything fine. But the truck was dead. That's when she started humming. Low, quiet, like a lullaby. I couldn't make out the tune. But it felt familiar. Like I'd heard it in a dream. She reached over, took my hand, and placed the key in my palm. Closed my fingers around it. Said, "You'll find the house soon. It's been waiting." I pulled my hand back. Told her to get out. She didn't. Just kept humming. I opened the door and ran. Didn't look back. Just sprinted down the road. Branches whipping my arms, tripping over roots. My breath came in gasps. Behind me, I heard the truck start. Smooth, like nothing was wrong. Then headlights cut through the trees. Slow. Following. I ran harder. Found a dirt path, veered off. Ended up in someone's backyard. Crouched behind a shed, shaking. The truck passed by, lights sweeping the trees. Then silence. I walked for hours. Ended up at a gas station on the edge of town. Called a cab. Got home. Locked the door. Checked every room. Turned on all the lights. Sat on the couch, staring at the key in my hand. Didn't sleep. Couldn't. Next morning, I searched online for Mira. Her profile was gone. The app said no matches found. I called Jake. Asked about his girlfriend. He looked at me like I was crazy. Said he didn't have a girlfriend. Never used that app. I showed him the messages. He said they weren't real. Said I must have imagined them. But I didn't. I started seeing things. At work. In the garage. Tools moved when I wasn't looking. My reflection in the side mirror would blink when I didn't. One night, I woke up and the key was on my nightstand. I'd locked it in the toolbox. I checked the windows. All closed. Locked. Then I found the photo. Not the one she gave me. This one was on my phone. Taken last night. Me asleep. And standing beside the bed. A tall figure. Face blurred. Same as the photo. I started driving. Not sure where. Just needed to move. Ended up on the same river road. Pulled over where we'd stopped. The truck started fine this time. I got out. Walked into the trees. Followed a path I didn't remember. Came to a clearing. In the middle, a house. Old. Paint peeling. Windows dark. And in the front door, a lock. Rusty. Matching the key. I stood there for an hour. Maybe more. No birds. No wind. Just silence. The key in my pocket felt heavy. Warm. Like it was alive. I didn't go in. Not yet. But I know I will. Because last night, I dreamt about the door. And on the other side, something was waiting. Something that knows my name. And it's not Mira.